Hello, my inky friends. It's Cindy Lynn with my Inky Fingers. Thank you so much for joining me today on my YouTube channel and blog for 4 easy Stampin' Up cards with designer series paper. Who doesn't love designer series paper? We're going to start off with some Whisper White, but I'm going to use the Tasteful Touches bundle today, the stamps and the dies, for this Casing the Catalog, Master Your Card Making Mondays. I saw a couple of these cards in the catalog and thought, why don't we switch it up a little and show you how to use some of your designer series paper. You may prefer one pattern over the other. Who knows? Maybe you want to make all 4. Maybe you want to use a completely different designer series paper. Nevertheless, I'm going to start by stamping this flower 8 times because I want 2 flowers on each card, and I'm going to stamp it in the smoky slate. That there, I stamped off camera. Whoopsie. I had some production issues. First day I created something in the new studio, so I had to work out all the kinks. And that studio tour is coming. You guys, your jaws are going to drop. It's absolutely amazing. I love it. I can't believe it's my room. I still feel like it's a dream. Anyhow, back to what I'm doing. I've got Bumblebee and Daffodil Delight and just a sponge dauber. And you know, it's not perfect, but hey, when it's perfect, it's not homemade anymore, right? So I'm just adding some color with my sponge daubers. This is just a way to color your stamps. I haven't showed you guys yet. Well, maybe I have showed you. Usually I daub on the stamp, but you know, I'm going to not color all 4 on screen. I'm just going to show you the 2, one of each color, if you will. This one here is Rococo Rose and Petal Pink. And you know, all I do is just kind of add some of the darker ink where I think the flower would be a little darker, and then some lighter ink up at the tops. And if you've got some white space, that's totally okay too. Now, there aren't any coordinating dies, so guess what? You're going to be fussy cutting out all of these. And you know how much I love fussy cutting, not? But I did grab a Stampin' Write marker in basic gray just to kind of bring out those little dots in the centers of the flowers again. So here I go. I've got my movie on. I'm sitting on my big tall chair up at my workstation, and I'm just going to fussy cut all of these out. So if you haven't fussy cut before, you just be very careful and try to leave about an even amount of white space all the way around your image, and it'll end up looking like that. So these are the designer series papers I use out of the In Good Taste designer series paper set. And again, pulling out of they're right there on the tip of my tongue, the Tasteful Touches stamps. So I'm going to stamp the sentiment on the wood. Now, for the darker wood, I chose to go with white embossing. My dies are a mess in here. I need to organize them because they keep sliding all over the place. But I'm going to do some embossing with some white powder here because I just felt like it really popped. And, you know, I'm trying to switch it up and give you guys a couple different ideas for these Casing the Catalog cards so that you can decide which ones you like better. So I really like the way the white turned out on here. And that's Stampin' Up white embossing powder. It's so fine. It comes out so crisp. Even your small detailed images, I absolutely love it. So I used my destatification tool to destatify my paper and my heat gun, and I'm all good to go. And I ran those through my new cut and emboss, aka Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. That is such a mouthful. So I'm going to go with the sprig, I guess, the twiggy leafy sets, but I want to trace where all of this stuff is going here on my paper. Now, all the supplies and all of the measurements are listed on my blog, so there is a link if you're on YouTube. There's a link down below. But I wanted to trace out where everything was going to sit on my card, so I kind of knew where my sprigs were going to go, right? I hate stamping them and going, oh, this one's too high or that one's too low. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to stamp them. Now, I did use my electric eraser to remove the pencil, and it worked out fine. Just don't press really, really hard. A nice soft eraser will work here so you don't mess up your designer series paper. Now here is another stamp out of the same stamp set, and I kind of stamped it off there on some scratch paper because I wanted to see if it was going to be too dark, which I thought it was. So I'm going to use what's called second generation ink. So I'm going to ink it up, stamp it off one time, and then use the leftover ink on my actual card. So these here, I'm just going to use my Stampin' Seal. And if you watch there, I kind of flick my wrist away from the paper, and I find that it doesn't get all stuck on me and I don't have to start rolling it again, right? So that's just a little trick that I have found anyway. So I'm going to add some dimensionals here to my sentiment strip, but I'm going to add a couple more after, and I'm going to show you why. Now here, I actually had to get Todd to help me to find my center. So I'm going to tell you that. I probably shouldn't have, because you guys thought, wow, Cindy Ling, you're doing really good with your measuring. But no, nevertheless, that you're going to make a mark at 5/8, because this little daisy punch, I saw Sarah do this on one of her cards and I was like, oh my gosh, that's so genius. So I had to add that on this card just for fun. Now my twine, I measured that out to be, I think it was about 9 inches. I just wanted it to wrap around 2 times, but leave enough so that I could tie it, because, honey, this is 200% speed, so it's double time. I struggle. I struggle with tying bows. I really, really do. So I try to keep one finger to hold the knot, and I mean, this isn't even a bow. It's just a knot, right? You should see when I'm trying to do a bow. That is a hot mess. But don't you just love those little indents there? They're so, so cute. Now I'm going to get super technical here with my glue, and I'm just going to blob it in there in the center, because you know what? I don't want the tops of the flowers stuck down to my card. I just want the bottoms, right? So you'll notice that because the cards are pretty much the same, I'm cutting out the parts where I'm repeating myself on the second card. You guys get it. You know what I'm doing. So now I'm going to use those In Good Taste elements. These I've already opened my second pack, because on the next 2 cards I've already used all the sprigs up. They're just so, and now I got to get all these leaves used up. But Christmas and fall is coming, so I'm going to use a lot of these then. So for these, I just use a little dab of the liquid glue. Now that's not the liquid glue bottle. It is the multi-purpose liquid glue. It's just in a Doris bottle. I get more precision out of it, and I find it easier to squeeze with my old arthritis hands. So I will link the bottle down below for you. Now this is where I'm going to add those extra dimensionals, because on the top right and the bottom left, I've got those elements. So on the opposite sides, I want my sentiment to not sag. So on your sentiment, top left, bottom right, add an extra dimensional so it's 2 layers thick there, just to kind of cover you with all your stuff behind there. So now I want to pull out my Peaceful Moments stamp set, because I want to throw a happy birthday in here. I'm kind of running a little low on some birthday cards, so I figured I'll make some birthday cards and throw them in my stash. And then I'm going to use that sprig again with the Old Olive. Old Olive. Yeah, it was Old Olive. Why am I second guessing myself? But I just want to add a little bit to the insert of the card. So oftentimes I always get asked, what do I do on the inserts? So I'm really trying to include all my inserts for you guys in all my cards. So just going to put some liquid glue on there, and I'm going to put my card front on. And of course, I repeated that on the other one. Now, if you're still watching this video, be sure, if you're enjoying it, to subscribe so you don't miss any more fun and tips and tricks. I would love to have you join the Inky Finger clan. Now this here, I was like, this ribbon, I really wanted to have it nice and frayed. It's the Whisper White Flax ribbon. Now there's like a little piece of almost like smaller than fishing line material in there. And if you can get that out, it's not too difficult, but get it out and then cut it. And then I used my Take Your Pick to split all of the, like it's like a whole bunch of twine almost, that's woven together with this really thin fishing line, right? So then I used the brush end of my Take Your Pick just to kind of make it a little bit more fuzzy, and I really like that. Now here, if you've seen me break these before, which I do all the time, I have finally learned to pop them out with my Take Your Pick. And can you believe I did not stab myself when I did this? And I did it 4 times. I was pretty proud of myself. So because this is going to be hidden by the actual sentiment there, the label, I'm just going to put the glue right behind the flax ribbon, even though it kind of peeks through, but I'm not too stressed about it because, again, the label's going to cover it, right? So I'm going to put an absurd amount of dimensionals on here like I always do. And then I'm going to put everything else down first because I want to hold my sentiment there while I'm kind of piecing everything in so that and you can see me now doing that. So I know kind of where everything's going to lie. And my fingers are so sticky at this point from that glue underneath the flax ribbon that everything's sticking to me. But I can kind of tell now where I want to lay things, and then I can get my little sprigs in. And the nice thing about that liquid glue, honey, it just gives you that wiggle room that you need. I love it. Now, when you put these sprigs in, remember not to put them like underneath where your dimensionals are, because then you're not going to get an even layer, right? So if you have to move a dimensional or even put them on after, whatever floats your boat, whatever makes you more comfortable, just make sure that those don't go behind your dimensionals. So for the inside here, I'm sticking with the same stamp set. I'm trying to keep this super simple for you guys because sometimes I can get a little crazy and use a ton of different stuff, right? So this one, I'm going to just go straight in with my ink, the Night of Navy. I'm not going to stamp it off. And I wasn't going to do a sentiment, but I pulled out the peaceful moments and I went with thank you because all the good things in life are better with you just kind of seem to be suiting to say thank you on the inside. And I don't really have very many thank you cards, so I thought, why not add some of these to my stash? Now, I guess that label was bugging me, so I had to peel it up and reposition it. But I did use some gilded gems on the blue designer series paper backgrounds. I just kind of felt they popped and they complemented the yellow. So I'm going to show you all of them that I put on. And I like these clear see-through acetate ones because you can lay them down on your card and kind of get an idea if you like it there or not, right? Now, just fold your acetate back to get your little pick under there and they come off super easy. And these come off even easier, as you can see, because I got them everywhere. But they stick back down on their little home, so I just put them back there. But these little guys, now, when I pull out the rhinestone basic gems, I'm going to point up here to the top corner because I had a leftover that I had colored pink. And I was like, oh, that afterthought. I was too lazy to turn around and grab my stamp and blend marker. But if you had colored them in pink, that would be super, super cute too on here. But as I said, I was too lazy, but I wanted to give you the idea so at least you could try it. So I did pearls on one and rhinestones on the other, did all your inserts for you. And I mean, they came together so quickly. You could mass produce these and it doesn't feel like it's the exact same card every time, right? So hopefully you enjoyed them. Let me know if you have this designer series paper or if it's now on your wish list. And until I see you again, take care and happy stamping.